And we are back for the first time in a few weeks on the Sunday recap. No football this week, so we're just recapping baseball. Mike Merlo, Kevin Bunk. And this is a little sneak peek of the Burrows podcast from BTO Media, which will be the two of us once a week, maybe more throughout baseball season. We'll be together in person for those. It won't be on the Zoom style platform. And those will be posted once a week, not live streams. So this might be our last live stream until next football season when the Sunday recap returns. But I'm sure we'll pop up for some live streams here and there. Don't doubt that. Breaking news, emergency.
Yeah, big time
Burrows.
breaking news.
But basically, the Burrows, I'll just intro that first before we talk baseball here. The Burrows is going to focus on Yankees and Mets and New York baseball, but it is not only exclusive to that. We will branch out. We will talk about around the league news, exciting storylines around the league so that you don't miss anything, so you're updated on everything. All the content will be posted on BTO Media's socials. It will not have its own social account. And we'll also be sharing some really fun, exciting segments with you guys that we don't want to give away just yet, but they'll all be trivia-styled games for you to play along with us while we're trying to figure them out. So make sure to stick around and tune in to the Burrows when that starts. Probably the first week of the season is the timeline we're shooting for, maybe the week before. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about. Multiple Yankees games on today. Mets playing. They started yesterday, a boom in spring training, but none of that is the most significant storyline. Cody Bellinger back to the Cubs, 3 for 80, opt-outs after every year. What are your takeaways on the return to Chicago?
Yeah, it always made the most sense for him to go back to Chicago. I did not seem like he was going to get a long-term contract. None of these guys still available seem like they're going to get a long-term contract. Bellinger's a tough case, though, because he really did have a great season last year. I know he hits the ball on the ground, and he doesn't hit the ball. If you look at the advanced metrics, he doesn't hit the ball as hard as I think a lot of people would like him to, especially in that really good 2023 year. But yeah, it made the most sense for him to go back to Chicago. This gives him a chance to now go back into the market next season if he does have another really good season with the Cubs. And I would project that he goes back there anyway after. But it always made like I never thought he would go anywhere else than Chicago. It was always going to be the Cubs.
And the Cubs don't feel like a great team, but I think they would have to be my favorite for that division right now. A bad division, the second worst in baseball behind the AL Central, or in front of the AL Central. And, maybe Milwaukee. I think losing Burns is massive. That's a huge loss for them. That's probably 10 wins in the course of a year that you might not get back. And I can't go St. Louis with that pitching staff.
Can't go St. Louis. I think I would lean St. Louis over Chicago right now.
Okay, I can't touch St. Louis in that they were so bad last year, and I think they're going to be worse this year. I'm so down on St. Louis.
They were so bad last season. There's no way they're this bad again. I know they lost Hicks, lost a couple other guys, but they added Gray early in free agency. I know Sonny Gray in this town, he's not, thought of highly, but when he's pitching outside of New York, he's pretty good.
And that's a pitcher's park there too. Yeah, in St. Louis. So they could be good. I don't think they will be. I still think it's Chicago's division to win, but Cincinnati.
I was gonna say Cincinnati.
Do we put Cincinnati any stock into them? You got another year of De La Cruz here. He'll be a year better, you would think. Wasn't as great as people kind of made him out to be last year.
Slightly overrated.
Very exciting player when he's going. I mean, that's an objective fact, but I don't think Cincinnati has. This division stinks, but good move for Chicago, whose only move was breaking the bank on Craig Counsell before re-signing Bellinger, which was, we'll see what happens there. I don't like that move either.
What's their pitching staff? So it's Steele. They signed Shota Manja. I think that's how you say it. So that's your 1-2, or who am I forgetting in that? Is Hendricks still? I think Hendricks is still there. Like, what's that rotation? It doesn't seem like it's anything special. Good, solid infield defense up the middle with Horner and Swanson.
Yeah, It's Steele is the ace, Hendricks, Imanaga, however you say his name. I think it's Amanga though. Tyone, and then it's just a group of guys.
Right,
Drew
they signed
Smiley,
Tyone last
Hayden
year.
Wesneski, Jordan Wicks, Javier Assad. So it's just a group of 4 guys that could be the 5.
But you know what, Kevin? 84 wins might win this division. I mean,
It might.
I don't even want to know what would win the AL Central, but this division, 84, 85 wins might do it.
I could be totally like off base with this. Is Steele the best number 1 in that division? Because I'd take him over Gray. I would take him over whoever the Pirates are throwing.
Mitch Keller, who just signed the extension.
Yeah, I would take him over Keller. Who's Cincinnati's ace?
Why am I blanking? Oh, Hunter Green?
Hunter Green, yeah, I would definitely take Steele. And then I guess it would be because no Woodruff, no Burns.
I would take Peralta. I think I'd take Peralta over everybody.
All right, but Steele's right there. It shows you that the pitching staff, even though the Cubs have a bad one, it's not poor in comparison. It's first or second in their division. That's terrible. That is 100%. Because even in the AL Central, it's way better. You got Bieber, you have Cease, who both overrated, but still good. I'd take both of them over any guy in that NL. I like Steele a lot though. But you have Cease and
Tariq Skubal, however
you say it. Skubal, whatever his name is. Carrasco.
Carrasco's back.
Cookie's Big back. Time. What are the other who else plays in the division? What are the teams?
Seth Lugo's with the Royals now. That's big.
My God. Abolish the Central divisions, dude.
It's so bad.
We
got into a big argument, I think in September on our radio show with the school about the Centrals. I think I was arguing. Like,
what was I had a lot of Central arguments, whether it was with you or Nico.
I was making an argument that the Twins last season could go on a run, and possibly upset a couple of teams.
Twins, that's the team. That's the team you're saying every year. I remember this conversation. The Twins every year. It's how many games do we have to lose to go to Minnesota in the playoffs? That's how everyone feels.
The Twins, Pablo Lopez. He's probably the best. He's probably the best pitcher going into the year.
Yeah,
no
I agree
name
with that.
recognition.
Lopez. Forgot
he's
about
probably
Lopez.
the best in that division.
That trade, Arias slowed down at the end of last year, but that was a kind of a win-win for both squads. Lopez was very, very reliable for Minnesota. He's young. I think he's 26 years old, maybe 27, because I know 2 years ago in Miami he was 25. Yeah. So I don't know where his timeline is as far as if he's 26 or 27, but that was a good get for Minnesota. I still didn't love giving up Arias because contact hitters, contact specialists are so rare. But
how valuable are they compared to even if he's a number 2 starter at best?
No, I agree with that.
Might be the one.
I agree with that. But I would have just tried to get him with somebody else.
It makes sense.
Arias is a good player, but
he's a solid player. Annoying, pesky,
really tough at bat. He's one of those guys. He reminds me of, because it's the Burrows, I'll make a New York reference. Better hitter, but Brett Gardner, where you just have those at bats, where even when you got him out, it was a taxing at bat of 10, 11 pitches, really having to work. And then if you didn't, he ends up getting on base. So what was his final stat line last year? Because I know there was the 400 watch until about the second week of June.
Yeah, I got Baseball Reference pulled up. I got you.
Get me with that.
He hit let's see, 354 at a 393 on base.
So that led the league.
OPS.
That was an easy league leader.
Yep.
For Arias, but Pablo Lopez, in the Centrals. How about, since we're talking about pitching, Snell and Montgomery, before we go into why we think they're still sitting out there, where do you think they end up?
Montgomery, I think the Red Sox will finally pony up. They'll pony up. They have Devers.
Good fit there, too. I do believe it's a good fit.
Makes sense. When you have your star player coming to camp and he's criticizing the ownership in the front office, like you got problems. So I think they'll end up paying for Montgomery. And Snell, I have no clue. I mean, Kevin, I can't even give you a prediction for this guy. I really can't. I'm just TBA.
Snell, I know that there was the passing thing about Angels and Yankees. I don't know if I buy how much either team is in on that, regardless of that tweet, I do think Snell will be with the Angels because it just feels like a team that'll be willing. They lost Ohtani. You got to sell some tickets this year.
Yeah.
You got to make at least please Trout slightly.
Yeah.
And they'll be the team that throws in that 3-year deal with opt-outs after every year with the highest value annually, and that'll be that. I really thought it would have been the Giants if you asked me 5 months ago, and I thought that for a while. It just hasn't come to fruition for San Fran to make that deal.
I have a take that if they signed Blake Snell, that Snell would go on his way to become a Hall of Famer because it just the park and everything. I think it made sense. If he stayed healthy, he would have really had a nice career with San Francisco. But they basically made sort of a lateral move in trading for Robbie Ray. Everybody forgets they traded for Ray. He's going to miss some time this season, but Robbie Ray is a very similar prototype to what Blake Snell is. Now, the Angels make a lot of sense because that's a bad franchise making a bad financial decision. So I would agree that the Angels make a lot of sense. And you know why it's a bad financial decision, Kevin? Because if you are in massive need of a starting pitcher, right, an ace-like level starting pitcher, if you can wait, you're going to wait till next season. And I think a lot of the smarter teams that have this hole are waiting till next season. When you have Max Fried and Corbin Burns and Shane Bieber and Walker Buehler and possibly Zach Wheeler becoming free agents, you're waiting until then to then go get your ace. You're not signing Blake Snell, who has durability issues, who, does not pitch deep into games because he walks a lot of guys. Blake Snell is flawed. Even though he won a Cy Young, I would not touch this guy with a 10-foot pole when we're talking about more than 4 years on a contract.
I wouldn't either. The years between the contract seasons are disturbing, and the contract seasons are dominant. Not even dominant. They're weaker Cy Youngs, actually. I would say that. They're weaker Cy Young seasons. Still Cy Young seasons, so I don't want to discount that, but very weak based on the other years of winners. A Verlander year, a DeGrom year, even a Corey Kluber year. I mean, these are weaker seasons. Now, with Snell, I think, and Gabe is just Soto bomb right here. Gabe giving us our live updates during the Yankees game. But we're talking about Snell. Where was I going to go with that? Missed it because of the Soto bomb.
Soto bomb, huge to left field. Oppo. I mean, he's amazing, and he's going to win the AL MVP.
Oh, here's where I was going to go. It wasn't even about Snell. It was about the Soto bomb. And you mentioned Zach Wheeler, and then I thought of the Phillies. I think that's a really attractive destination for Soto next year in free agency. I hate to even go into it because you know how I feel about. I'm just excited to watch this Yankee season. I'm not really worried about next year. But I was just thinking about possible scenarios for Pete Alonso, possible scenarios for Juan Soto if it's not the team they're on right now, the Yankees or Mets. And I was thinking Phillies with Soto because you have the Bryce Harper connection. You have Trey Turner there. You have their hitting coach was the Nationals hitting coach during the World Series win when Soto was on the team. And they didn't spend any money this offseason. So you could pile that up for a run next year at a huge free agent. But that would be a team, too, that I think should be in on Montgomery and Snell because you can never get enough pitching, especially in Philadelphia. And if this is going to be a short-term deal, Philly's got to be in on this.
Yeah, they should be in on Snell. Montgomery is a guy that I would, and I know we're about to talk about him. I would sign Montgomery to like a 5-year deal. Now, I don't know how much he wants. I definitely have a limit there, but I'm willing to sign Montgomery to a 4 or 5-year contract, and he makes sense in Philadelphia. Now, they do have a lot of pitchers. They have to re-sign Zach Wheeler at the end of this year to what will be, I think, more of a, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander kind of contract, maybe a little closer to DeGrom, actually, 5 years, 180, maybe 4 years, 150 around there for Wheeler next season because he's up there in age. But they have to make that move. They re-signed Nola to a big contract. So, Kevin, I did
forget the Soto, the Nola extension.
I can't see them tying $1.2 billion possibly to 3 players with Turner, Harper, and then Soto, because he's going to get close to $600 million. Harper's at $330. They have an even $300 with Turner. I can't see it. As good as the fit is, because I agree with you, it does make sense. I think he wants to be on the East Coast. Yankees, Phillies, Red Sox, Mets all make sense for his geography of where people believe he wants to be. But I can't see that.
No, that's a good point. I think that Montgomery would be a good fit in here. Now with Montgomery, he's 31 years old.
Yeah.
He's going to be 32 at some point this season. Not sure when the birthday is. I'll tell you right now. So you have a guy who turns. Okay, this doesn't help. Jordan Montgomery birthday 1992. That doesn't help me. December 27th. So he won't be 32 until next December. So you get a season of him as a 31-year-old, and that contract brings you until he's 36. I don't know if I like that at all for a team like Boston, because Boston's not winning this year, and they're not winning next year.
They have to appease their fans.
They have to appease the fans. I get that. But if you're Craig Breslow, you're sitting there saying, this is the first year I'm the general manager. I know the fans are upset, but I have to go through my process. Because if John Henry's as tight about money as we think he's become, even if he's a little bit tight about it, how do you sit there and say, as a general manager, I'm going to go throw $24 million a year, maybe plus? I think that's what Montgomery will get. But how am I going to commit $24 million a year to a 31-year-old Jordan Montgomery when we're 2 or 3 years away from putting a winning team on the field? Maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. By the time you're competing, what are you, 34, 33, 34? I guess it does make sense, but Kevin, if they make a couple of moves next offseason to go along with Montgomery, do you think they're out of it? I mean, you're looking at an interesting division where it's probably going to be run, maybe not this season, but in the future by the Baltimore Orioles. You don't know what the Yankees are going to be. You don't know what the Blue Jays are going to be. You don't know what the Rays are going to be. So you're a couple of moves away, a couple of guys from developing into, nice solid pieces for you where, maybe in 2025 they are competing. I don't know what their trajectory is.
I don't know, because they would really have to start spending some money for me to believe that. And I don't think they're going to spend more I don't think they're going to spend the amount that's required. Because listen to this pitching staff right now. Brian Bayo, who I actually think could be a pretty good 2-3. So I give respect to Bayo. Giolito, this is not a long-term championship piece as a starter. Nick Pivetta, no. Cutter Crawford, no. Garrett Whitlock, no. Tanner Houck, no. I mean, those are not good pitchers. And then you have Kenley Jansen, who's also very frustrated here already. And they told him we're going for it in year 2, and he's saying, when are we going for it? I mean, it's ridiculous that I'm on the Red Sox and we're not trying to compete. Then they just signed Liam Hendricks, who stinks. I mean, these are the pitchers that they have. Hendricks is cooked now, man. And I tell you,
August.
Yeah, he's not coming back till August. How old is he now? Born in 89, 2/10/89. So his birthday just passed. Happy birthday, Liam Hendricks. And
happy birthday.
89 to 24. What is that? 35? He's 35 years old now. He's 35 years old. And by the way, sucks against the AL East, especially the Yankees. Absolute disaster against the Yankees his whole career. And he stinks against Toronto. He stinks against Baltimore. So Liam Hendricks, that's a horrible signing. Boston's in a terrible place, man. They're in a terrible place. So
especially
I don't know if Jordan Montgomery is a proper fit for them. But then this could go down to a deeper conversation of.
But then what do you do? Like, what are you doing?
I know.
You're going in, like, you're the Boston freaking Red Sox. You're going to go into the season not doing absolutely anything. Listen, it seems like John Henry and this ownership group is just saying, yeah, okay, we're going to bring back Theo Espin and excite the fans. So I get what you're saying where it might not line up, especially this season, but I can't tell you exactly what they're going to be in the next 2 seasons. Nobody knows. So I still think Montgomery's got 3 to 4 more seasons of being a, legitimate 3, maybe upside 2 starter in this league. That helps. Now it depends on what you're paying him a year. That's where we get to it. And
I mean, this team, I'm looking at this roster right now.
They're not good.
This is bad. It's not good. They're horrible. I mean, Trevor Story, what a disaster signing that was. Tyler O'Neill was their biggest offseason ad.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler O'Neill is not good. He's a 220 hitter. And I don't think he's going to have a fun time hitting at Fenway.
It's a problem.
Yoshida's solid. He had a nice year, but he's a 30-year-old rookie last year.
Right. And they were actually looking to trade, I heard rumors of him, being shopped a little bit.
The only guy that you kind of feel good about besides Devers is Casas. But, I mean, I thought he was an underwhelming rookie. You've heard me say that before.
Mm-hmm.
For a first baseman.
And what's their farm system look like? Is it anything? I mean, Casas is up now. Bello, you mentioned he's up now. What does their farm system look like?
Here we go. Let's see. MLB Pipeline. And then the Vaughn Grissom move. I liked Grissom with Atlanta last year, but if Atlanta was willing to give him up for Chris Sale, tells me all I need to know about how he progressed.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, he was supposed to take over at short. Arcia won the job, and they never went to him. Arcia just had the job the entire year, and now they move him.
So Boston, I'm trying to find him on this list. Astros 30, Marlins 29. Red Sox might be higher up. God, I mean, the Marlins and Royals and Angels are three of the bottom four. Good Lord.
What are we doing?
I mean, that's trouble, man.
What are we doing?
That's
the
trouble.
Astros are that low, huh? The
Astros are the worst.
They you know what? They called up some guys. They made some moves, obviously, last offseason. They traded two of their top prospects in the Mets. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yankees 19.
I'm watching Jet Williams at the plate right now for the Mets.
Where are the Red Sox? So Red Sox got to be pretty high, man. I'm at 15. No Red Sox yet.
How slow moving is this list? Like, is it like one by one?
Yeah, it's bad.
It's not.
It's like a whole write up about everything. Now I'm at 10. Dodgers 10. So they're top 10.
All right.
They're top 8.
At least there's a future, unless you missed them.
They're top 5, dude. They're top 5.
See, are they?
All right, Mets are 4, so this might be.
Mets are 4. That's good. That's legit.
3.
They're 3.
Red Sox are 3 for.
What do they have?
Oh, and then the Cubs, man. Number 2, the Cubs. This is the team. This is the team in the Central now.
What is it? Who do they have? Who does
and of
Boston
course the
have?
Orioles won. Boston. Let's see it. Boston number 3. Oh, now I passed it at the Mets.
See, you know what? They let Heim cook a little bit. Nobody wanted to wait. Nobody wanted to wait.
The only guy I've heard of here is Marcelo Meyer.
Yeah, okay, that's their big guy.
So he's a tier, but they have MLB Pipeline gives them 6 tier 1 prospects out of 3 tiers. So every top 10 has 3 tiers ranked.
Yeah,
like the Cubs have. How about Pete Crow Armstrong, the Cubs' top prospect?
No, we're not talking about that.
One of the best, dude.
We're not talking about that.
Wow.
It's a bad trade.
Orioles system is sick, man. God damn.
Wish you had that, right?
Are they going to re-sign Burns?
No.
It's a one and done?
That's a one and done. That's an absolute one. They didn't give up much. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like those guys are not, legitimate. I mean, they're top one. One of them was a top 100 prospect, but they didn't give up a ton.
Let me ask you this with the Mets. Lindor is a locked-in guy, and he's a shortstop for as long as he's here. I won't hear any talk about him at second base or third base.
Oh, his body breaks down.
Yeah, but not going to project that,
No.
So you have Acuna is a shortstop. Mauricio, I guess, would play third.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jet Williams good enough in the outfield? I genuinely don't know.
He'll probably be a center fielder.
Okay, because he's one of those shortstop athletes, right?
Yeah,
like he'll be a great athlete.
Great athlete. He'll be in center.
All right, and then it's just a lot of shortstop prospects up top there, but they'll be fine with those. Acuna, can Acuna play anywhere else?
He can play second. He'll be a second baseman. He's good at short, and he showed it yesterday. But I think he'll be a solid second baseman. So Gilbert and Wright, he's got a plus arm. And Martino just did a write up about that. He was a closer, I think, in high school or college, and he's athletic enough to play center, but they want him in right because of the arm.
Okay, and they seem to have a group of center fielders right now that depth at center field for the future,
and this season,
yeah. So it seems that they have a surplus of center fielders. What's that outfield look like for the Mets? What does it line up like
this season?
This season, yeah.
It looks like it's going to be Bader in center, Nimmo in left, and Marte in right. They got Tyrone Taylor, who they traded for. He's going to kind of be that, I guess, backup everywhere. And McNeil plays left too.
Got to say, Bader with the beard and the hair growing back
It's
out
good.
looks horrible.
Looks like Logan Paul or
Looks
Jake. I always get them confused.
I don't know which one either, but I know which one you think it looks like.
He looks like him.
But I think it's a bad look for Bader.
You don't like it? I like it.
No, I think he looks dirty. I think he just looks, I don't know. And I'm a beard guy. I have a dirty beard. I have a gross beard.
I'm looking at Rodon clean shaving today. He looks like he's miserable clean shaven.
Terrible, dude.
It does not look good.
Well, then you have Verdugo, who I really just acknowledged is just ugly. Verdugo. I mean,
ugly. Well, that's why he had a beard for so long.
Beard, shaved, ugly, both. But he's my guy. I'll tell you. I'll ask you this. So sit on this for a second about the Mets. Behind the obvious guys, who's your guy? I'll give you mine. You think of yours if you don't know it already. Alex Verdugo is my guy with the Yankees that isn't named Soto or Judge or Cole. And he's the guy that I think is going to turn a lot of heads, surprise a lot of people. That lefty bat with something to prove here got traded in a rare rival deal, Red Sox to Yankees, and he's going to be protected in a lineup at Yankee Stadium for half the year. Good contact bat, strikes out a good amount too, gets on base enough for me. Not a great glove, but I think Verdugo at the plate this year is exactly the kind of guy the Yankees needed and have been looking for the last few seasons. That 265 hitter with some pop that gives you good at-bats down to the bottom of the order.
Right.
Because they're 7 to 9. They're 6 through 9. Last year was pedestrian. You'd come up and it would be one of those either Oswaldo Cabrera or Peraza, and they both stunk. And then you had Volpe, who was just not good for so many stretches of the year last year. And you'd have the catcher, which was most of the time Trevino, maybe Higashioka, and maybe Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was there. But they were just an auto out. Aaron Hicks for half the year.
Yep.
They were an auto out through the bottom 4 in the order. Now with Verdugo and maybe Austin Wells gives you something at catcher. Maybe Volpe takes a step and gets a year better at the 9 spot. I think he will. But Verdugo is going to be a big veteran bat for them down to those bottom 4. I cannot wait to see him. I love the ad. They got rid of a guy in Greg Weissert who was a top relieving prospect, but just didn't seem to put it together at all with the Yankees in the time he was up and was so expendable that they were able to get rid of him and 2 absolute scrub pitching prospects that nobody knew. Great move by Cashman. My favorite move he's made in a while that isn't, once again, signing Soto, signing Judge, signing Cole.
Yeah, they needed another guy down in that lineup. We talked about in that left field spot before the year started last year, and they never did it. And now you add that spot, you add a bat like Soto, it just extends the lineup even more. Rizzo is going to come back from being, concussed for 3 months, and he's going to hit at the level that you expect Anthony Rizzo to do at. Like you mentioned, those ads as well. You think Volpe's going to take the next step. I absolutely believe he will. This is a really good lineup. It's a deep lineup. Now, when you get out of, your top 9 guys here, what do you have on that bench? I'm worried a little bit about the Yankee depth, but when you're talking about the starting lineups, whether it's rotation, bullpen, and bullpen might need another arm or two, and their lineup, I feel really strongly about the Yankees.
And who would be your guy for the Mets, other side of New York and Queens?
I'm going to look at a pitcher here. It's going to be McGill. And, the Mets haven't developed a pitcher since, Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard, Matt's era there. They haven't, seriously developed a starting pitcher since then. It's been a very long time. And they don't really have, an influx of pitching prospects that, they have a couple, but nothing major like those guys. I think McGill is going to step up for this team, he's developed kind of a little American ghost fork that he was taught from by Senga. He used it a little bit in his first spring training start. I'm a little excited about what McGill can bring. He was very good down the stretch last year, in garbage time when the Mets needed starters after they made a couple of trades there at the deadline. So I'm excited to see what Tyler McGill does. And I think by process of elimination, Kevin, I mean, they have to develop one guy, right? Like you can't go 8 years without developing one freaking pitcher. So I think McGill could possibly be that guy that is a mainstay in the rotation for a while with this development of another pitch, because they said he needed another pitch and he finally added another pitch.
That brings up an interesting conversation because the Yankees have not developed a pitcher since Andy Pettitte.
That's crazy.
Go through the guys. Severino was really their best development project that they had. And if he didn't get hurt, I do believe he would have been a stud, but so many injuries, and that plays a role in it. But Tanaka was not homegrown. He was signed, biggest contract until Yamamoto this offseason, out of Japan, all-time prospect. I thought a better prospect than Yamamoto. I watched a lot of Tanaka this offseason. Back when he was a Japanese, when he got posted out of Japan, I just watched some of his old videos. He was sick, man. He was absolutely lights out over there. But they haven't developed anybody. Sabathia, obviously not developed. Cortez, not developed by the Yankees even. So you go to those guys that are the 4th, 5th in the rotation. That's why a lot's riding on Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. And Michael King maybe looked to be one of those guys, but they haven't developed a real good pitcher since Andy Pettitte.
So you're saying it could go longer for the Mets, is what you're saying?
No,
they're not due.
Naturally, it doesn't go longer because even look at some of the bad teams. I'm trying to think of an example of a team that doesn't spend any money, and also just sucks and develops guys. Like the A's, Sonny Gray, Frankie Montas, both better. Ironically, both ended up terrible Yankees, but both better than what the Yankees have developed. And they had another pitcher in there that I'm totally missing too. But Yankees haven't developed any pitching prospects, and I think that is a huge error and reason why they haven't won a World Series since 2009.
Well, they traded Thorpe too in that trade. They really liked him to the Padres, right? That's another guy they really liked pitching prospect wise.
Yeah, Thorpe, he was the big guy in the pitching, but obviously, if you can get Soto. If you can get Juan Soto, you get Juan Soto in that.
You know what's funny too? Michael Kay, after that trade was made, because a lot of people in the mainstream media was like, well, they stole him from the Padres. And if you know baseball and you watch the Yankees, you're like, well, for a rental, which he essentially is, he's going to hit the market. They gave up a lot. I mean, King was going to be, and the more you read and the more you watch, like King was going to be possibly the number 2, probably the number 3 starter this season.
As far as I'm concerned, great point. As far as I'm concerned, a rental is any player you get that you didn't have a contract in place with when you got them. Because the second you do that, there is a chance they leave after a year. So Soto absolutely was. I don't understand the fleeced conversation.
Yankees give up a lot.
For a 1 year guy, they gave up a ton. And a player that, you're going to have to give Ohtani money. He's going to get a lot of people think he's not going to get it, but I think he gets $600 million.
I think he's getting 6 or close to 6.
And that also factors in three things. What I believe he's going to do this year in a contract year with the Yankees, hitting in front of Judge. I think it's going to be an unbelievable season, best of his career. And his age. Mm-hmm. He is the age that Aaron Judge was when he was the Yankees' top prospect.
That's crazy.
And Soto has done 7 years, world champion, multiple All-Stars, 2 teams that he's played for already, and for multiple years. He was with San Diego for two years. So he's done so much. And also, how many teams are going to be in on this guy in the offseason? That is going to drive this price up like crazy because the Yankees are going to be in. I think Boston flirts. I think the Phillies flirt. Obviously, the Mets are going to be in. Maybe the Giants. Maybe the Dodgers. You can never rule them out. So
I think we can rule the Dodgers out.
I will not rule the Dodgers out.
I think we can rule the Dodgers out.
I won't rule the Dodgers out of any, especially with these deferrals. Their payroll is $1 million less than the Yankees this year.
It's crazy.
So
yeah, but that luxury tax number is high. That luxury tax number is high.
It is. But what happens if you lose? They get bounced again in the second round, which any of us can see happening. If you know baseball, if you know their team, their pitching staff, and their bullpen, you could see them getting bounced second round if they win a division, get to bye. I could see them losing that second round. I could see them losing at any point in the postseason. But what happens at the end of the year when Freeman, Ohtani, and Betts walk into your office and say, "Hey, that was disappointing. We want Soto." You're like, crap.
Can't do it. Where are you gonna put him? Where
God
are you putting him?
man. Why'd they all come in here like that? And Yamamoto's in there too after he just won Cy Young and Rookie of the Year. And you're like, God, what do I even do here? This is a bad spot.
Where are you putting him?
Well, Betts is at second base, so can Soto swing over and play lefty third?
What's their outfield? I don't even know what their outfield is. Outman's out there. He's a good player.
He had a nice year last year, but they would gladly swap Soto for.
Well, no, I think he's playing center. I don't think we're swapping him for anybody.
No, but I'm just saying, just free up an outfield spot.
Oh, yeah. They'll be like, yeah, all right, bye, bud.
Let's see.
What are you using for these roster projections here?
I'm just doing MLB.com, and I'm just taking who I think the best player in every position group is.
Oh, look at you.
From their roster. Yeah, it's high IQ play. Nope, these are the spring training lineups now. Can't use those.
No, you definitely don't want those. Betts made a play yesterday, man. He just shows you at second base, he like snuck behind a runner at first on a relay throw to home.
He's unreal, man.
He's just like a weapon on the field. He's just a super athlete. Obviously, we know he could do with his bat, but he's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he is Soto's a Dodger when I look at this now. You want to hear their three outfielders? You want to hear their three outfielders? Outman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Jason Hayward.
That's scary. He's not a Dodger. He's not a Dodger.
He's a Dodger.
No, he's not. Teoscar's
when did they re-sign Hayward? I didn't even catch that one.
Early.
How much?
Not much. He was good. He was good last year.
A solid year last year. But and then those guys are hitting behind Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Will Smith, Muncy. Gavin Lux down at the bottom. I like Lux. I think coming back from injury, he should be good. And then, but their pitching staff. What do you think of their pitching staff? I'm curious to see your thoughts because Yamamoto, who has never pitched in a game. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be very good right off the bat. But Yamamoto, who's never pitched an MLB game. Glasnow, who's wildly unreliable for multiple reasons, health and production. Bobby Miller. Also, I just have not seen enough from Bobby Miller to believe that he's better than a 3.9 guy, and you can lock that up. James Paxton, do I have to even comment? And then you have Kershaw. I don't know what the deal is with May or any of those guys that were injured.
Kershaw, May coming back later.
Is Bueller coming back?
I'm gonna have to look that up. Let me give you that.
So they have a really suspect pitching rotation for this season. Going beyond, it's going to turn into Ohtani, Yamamoto, Bueller, and then whoever you plug to the Glasnow. So moving forward, it'll be great. But this season, I like it. Don't love it. It's good enough. Now you're going to get Dustin May. You're going to get, you're not getting Bueller because you're going to get Bueller probably towards the middle of the season. And then he's a free agent. And you're probably not re-signing Bueller. No. Unless they... No, they're going to put the money to Soto. Well, all right. Well, you say that, and that scares the hell out of me. And we'll back off on that for a second. Just keep it going, man. You have May coming back. You have, obviously, Ohtani coming into this rotation. So next season, I think it's the best rotation in baseball, not close. But yeah, this season, I like it, don't love it. I am very high on Bobby Miller. I think he's going to be a frontline starting pitcher going forward. He's got great stuff, electric stuff. He's young. Let me rephrase before you continue because I agree with you, but he's 24. There's just a serious question mark with every guy, and every rotation doesn't have more than two guys without a question mark. There's no rotation without that. So I'm not going to – I can sit here and tell you something that might go wrong with every pitcher, So I hate to do that. But Houston, for example, I think still might have the best rotation in the league. And they have a bunch of guys who are just reliable, healthy, veterans, have been there before, have performed there before, except somehow Verlander. And He's horrible in the postseason. Nobody likes to realize that though. But
Yeah.
then you have I'm trying to think of another rotation. Can't use the Braves. Can't use. Well, I all right. I like the Phillies rotation a lot. I don't like it for a regular season durability
I like
factor.
the Phillies have a top 5 rotation.
I think though the Phillies. The way I look at rotations is 7-game series. Whose do I want? That's how I view rotations. So the Phillies I would take pretty close. The Dodgers I'd probably take and feel just as good as I do with the Phillies. But I don't know. I feel like the Dodgers just, for this season alone, have a little more hype than I would give them because of the free agent signings. And without Ohtani pitching, he doesn't play the field, which doesn't really negate his value as a hitter and a position player.
NL MVP is wide open this year.
It is. But I still think the Braves are better than the Dodgers.
I think it's close because I have questions about the Braves rotation too.
But I think the Braves lineup is better.
The Braves lineup is probably deeper, yes. But when you look at the rotation, they have Strider. You're gonna have Fried coming back from injury, probably towards the middle of the season. You have Sale, who's a major question mark. Charlie Morton, he's old. He's just old. Yeah. What else do you have in that rotation that you feel great about?
Elder's solid, but
Elder's okay. Yes,
good bottom of the rotation guy.
Here's the thing about the Dodgers. They are, and I know it's cliche at this point, but they're great at developing players and they're great at finding gems in that bullpen that just work. I mean, how many guys are, what is that? Ryan Brazier, he had a 6 ERA at the Red Sox, goes there. He's one of the best relievers in baseball last season. They bring him back. They are great with finding guys in the bullpen. So no matter what happens, no matter who they sign, I feel good about their pen compared to anybody else, especially the Braves. I'm not high on their bullpen, but it's close. I think this season, you could say the Braves are slightly better as an overall team, but going on to next season, I wrote down the rotation for next season for the Dodgers. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Ohtani's the 1, Yamamoto's the 2. I mean, everybody's high on Dustin May. If he's healthy, he's probably your 3.
Yeah.
If Miller develops into the guy that we think he's going to, that at least I think he's going to be your 4. And I think he's more of a 2 or 3 guy.
Yeah.
I think Glasnow, who's unreliable and hasn't pitched more than 130 innings in his career, I'll slot him in at 5.
Well, that's the perfect 5 are those guys with the high upside.
That's the best 5.
Those are the best 5s. But I mean, if those guys all stay healthy, those are all 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
They're all 100%. 1s and 2s. So that's my point.
But this season it's sketchy. You're right.
Sketchy. So let me bring this point up with the Braves because I like to flip the narrative and the perception. I'm all about perception, Merlo, and I like to flip it when I talk about the Braves.
Okay.
The Braves don't get the hype because the stars are already there. The Dodgers brought in massive names. But let's go right down the lineup here for the Braves. Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, Harris, Sean Murphy, Kelenic, Arcia. That is the best lineup in the league. I don't think anybody's close. So imagine a team with maybe Albies, Olsen, Sean Murphy, Michael Harris, sign Acuna, Riley, and let's say they signed Fried to a team that already had Strider, Morton, Sale, and Elder. Then we'd be like, this team's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This team's sick because they signed the guys externally. But since they're all homegrown, they don't get that attention.
Well, it's that Dodger hype, right? It's that LA West Coast Dodgers are the darling team in the Major League Baseball for the last 10, 15 years now. So, and rightfully so, they've been one of the best run organizations in baseball. And, you could say they're bought, but they develop players too. And they make these trades and they bring some guys up. But when we talk about the team and the standard of developing your own players and bringing them up and then holding them hostage and signing them to unfair contracts, that would be the Atlanta Braves, who are just, you want to be them. You want to be this team if you're modeling your franchise after any other team in the league. And you know what? More so than the Dodgers, they are to be that franchise more attainable because they don't have all this money. They're not one of the richer teams in baseball. They're a valuable team, a valuable franchise that does spend money. But if you're like the Orioles or smaller market teams, you want to model your franchise as the Braves have. And they're unbelievable. They're scary. I mean, as a Mets fan, you see it every year, especially the last 2 seasons, really in 2022 going up against them. They're fantastic. There's no doubt about it.
But I like the Braves for that. They're scary lineup, man. Let me go. I'm going to go stride for stride, 1 through 9.
Okay.
You got a pen and paper here. And you tell me who you think is better. There's a pen.
Go position by position.
Position by position. So outfield, I think the Braves are just going to sweep it. So I'll just start by going all 3. It's Acuna, Kelenic, and Harris versus Hernandez, Outman, and Hayward.
Yeah, I guess yes. It's very close between Hernandez and Kelenic, though. I mean, Kelenic has not proven much.
And I'm high on Kelenic this year, though.
So am I, but he's your typical, Hernandez, your typical pop. He's going to drive and run. He'll have an 800 OPS, hit 25 plus bombs. So maybe I go 2-1. Maybe I go 2-1
right,
in that.
So for good measure, we'll go 2-1. And then at second base, it's the Dodgers, but not a big drop off between Betts and Albies. It's a big drop off, but it's only a big drop off because Betts is the best player in the league.
Okay,
maybe the best player in the league. Albies a very good second baseman still.
Yeah, he's solid.
You're right though. Big drop off, but you still have a top 10 second baseman, top 12 second baseman in Atlanta. So we have 2-2. First base. This is tough.
It's really close.
Because you know how I feel about Freeman. I think I'd give the slight edge to Freeman, but Olsen might be better.
I mean,
I don't want my bias to impact my decision.
Olsen has the power numbers. He's great defensively over there, but we know what Freddie is. I think Freddie is slightly better right now. Going into this season, I'll still give it to Freddie. Obviously, we know the power numbers, but as an overall hitter, I mean, we talk about best hitters in baseball. Freddie Freeman, if he's not one of your first 3 guys when you mention, you're off.
All right, so now let's move to shortstop. It's Arcia and Lux. I'm going to go to the Braves here. It's a tough one, though.
That's a tough one. I mean, Lux, what has Lux done in this league?
Nothing.
That's the thing.
Really.
He's
but he can play with the small sample. He can play.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, you have no choice to go Arcia.
You have to go Arcia, though.
Yeah, you have to go Arcia.
All-star last year.
That was the biggest bogus all-star I've ever seen in my life.
Third base would go to Atlanta.
Yes, 100%.
It's Muncy versus Riley. Is Riley the best third baseman in the league?
He's probably one of the 3 best third basemen in the league.
Who else would we have there? Arenado.
Nah, I think
out.
He's out. I would go Riley. Offensively, it might be Riley. Who am I forgetting at third base?
You know who else free agent is Chapman? Matt Chapman.
Yeah, I'm not high on Chapman.
I'm not either, but unbelievable that he's still a free agent. He's one of the best defensive third basemen in the league.
Who are the best third? Why am I blanking on who are the best third
I think Riley's the best third baseman, but
Riley, Arenado, Bregman. Riley's better than Bregman.
Jose Ramirez.
Jose.
Devers. Machado.
It's Riley or Ramirez right now.
Yeah, I think it's Riley, to be totally honest with you. All right, let's go now. So we did the infield there. Catcher, Murphy versus Will Smith. That's a really tough one, too.
So you asked my friend. I am like weirdly high on Will Smith. Like it's
I think Will Smith is the first or second best catcher in the league.
Yeah.
But Murphy had a better year last year.
And I mean, Will Smith's 29.
I'm going to go Will Smith here.
I mean, I got to look at Sean Murphy's numbers here. Damn, he was good last season.
He was.
Do they have any bad players? I mean, Jesus Christ.
No, that's what you really take away from this is neither team has a bad player.
Jesus Christ. I mean, even Ozuna hit 40 home runs last season. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, what do you do? I mean, thank God the Mets aren't competing this year. They're the same age, actually, which is scary, Murphy and Smith. I'll give a slight edge to Smith. That's a bias, though, because I'm a huge Will Smith guy.
But I think Smith has, granted Murphy was on the A's, I think Smith has produced more throughout his career.
But this goes back to your perception thing, though. Murphy was with the A's. Now he's with the Braves, who don't get as much attention as the Dodgers do. Smith was this big prospect coming up for the Dodgers. Dodgers wouldn't trade him for anything. He's the golden child basically over there. I don't know.
Now I have Murphy here.
Now I have a hard time because you bring that perception thing back into it.
Both are good defensively.
Yes, that was my question. Who's better defensively? I'll go Smith. He's his WAR's a little.
Let's
higher.
go Smith. Let's see how it plays out, and we'll go
All
Smith. Right. So that's the infield through. We did the outfield already. So
DH. It's just
DH would be Ohtani, yeah.
Yeah. It's just ceremonial.
Who is
it's Ozuna.
Out of curiosity. Oh yeah.
Ozuna
40 from the Braves.
Yeah, Ozuna from the Braves.
Right,
40 homers, so.
I could have botched this math. So let's find out right here.
How did you botch? I mean, it's 1 through 9.
No, I didn't botch it. Here's what I did. So the Braves are better at 4 positions. Dodgers are better at 5. Based on what we said. That includes the DH. It doesn't include pitchers. So where would you rank the 2 pitching staffs? I would give it to the Braves for this year.
Yeah, you know what the deciding factor is? Fried is better than Buehler, and those are 2 guys coming back. So we'll base it off of guys coming back. So give it to the Braves.
So if you count pitchers and DH, it's 5-5 through 10 positions. Do we want to go through the relief pitchers here?
I mean, I'm going to say the Dodgers. I'm just going to say the Dodgers.
I have to look at the Braves bullpen. Braves don't have great names here in the pen.
Yeah, no, they're not good there. Is Iglesias still their guy over there at the back end? I'm watching Jet Williams again. He's up already.
Yeah, Iglesias is still their guy. No, they are not good in the pen here. I'm looking at the stats. Yeah, they don't have any. They didn't get anybody in that you feel good about.
But they'll figure it out. Don't worry, Kevin.
I don't think the Dodgers have a great pen either, but they always find a guy or two. And with the depth of starters, they'll be able to push one back.
You still got Gratterall there. You have
Evan Phillips,
Brazier. They brought back. Evan Phillips is good.
You still have Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
Who is a good 4th guy out of the pen. Blake Trinan, who I think is cooked now.
Yeah, he's old.
Yarbrough, we'll see. I have PTSD about Yarbrough.
Names. They got a lot of names that they'll figure out.
They do. And for Atlanta, it's kind of the opposite because you have Iglesias, you have Ronaldo Lopez, AJ Minter. So it's not very strong name-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Fangraphs is projecting Iglesias is the best player with a 3.34 ERA.
It's not what you want.
No, it's not what you want. It's really quite the opposite of what you want.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
Who's the best pen in the league?
Mets might be up there, dude.
Well, we know this is my issue with the Mets pen is even when it looks good on paper, we know how it looks when April comes.
Well, no, the problem is they have so many hit and miss guys that it's either going to be the worst or the best. Like there's a chance it's the best, but there's also
getting Diaz back gives them just a massive boost.
Who is the best pen in the league?
Going to Fangraphs projections here.
Let me guess before when you get it.
Yeah, let's see. I'm curious how Houston shapes up with Hader.
You know that I have such a problem with that contract. I have such a problem with the clause in that freaking contract. It pisses me off to no end, to the point where I actually can't say that. I'm between like 3 teams doing the American League right now: the Yankees, Astros, and Orioles. And my problem with not putting the Astros is this Hader thing.
All right, Fangraphs, fascinating bullpen projections here.
They probably have the Dodgers 1, right?
No.
Phillies?
They have a contender 1. Phillies, yes. Which, all right. Twins are 2.
All right. Who's back there for the Phils?
Wasn't even on my radar.
Who's the Phils?
Well, Phils, it looks like right
Dominguez?
Yeah, but they have Jose Alvarado, Jeff Hoffman, and Gregory Soto. They're projecting big years for a big year for Alvarado and
right.
a solid year for Soto, but they have Brewers, who that was a team I was thinking with Devin Williams.
Yeah.
Interesting. Astros are 7.
Where are the Yanks on that list?
I'm trying to find where the Yankees are. Dodgers are 10.
All right.
And did I tell you the Braves are 3?
The Braves are 3?
Yeah, that's where it's just funky here. It's really funky stuff.
But bullpens are impossible to predict. I mean, it's so year to year with these.
And bullpen injuries are what make or break the team season. Truly, in the pen is who's healthy, who's not. Yankees are 19.
It's
So
all
the Yankees
about
pen is. I'm just looking through it. I really haven't taken a deep dive at this pen here. I trust the Yankees in the pen. I don't know if Gabe's still listening, but he will also. That's the one thing I really trust Cashman with is the bullpen, because a lot of years we come in and say the Yankees pen's not going to be that good, and then the Yankees pen is great because they end up one of the guys like Clay Holmes or Loaizaga end up. I'm not saying it's going to be either of them this year, but it has been them in the past. They just end up dominating for a year, and then they figure it out again the next offseason.
Well, the problem is, all right, I'll use the Mets, for example, okay? They signed 2 guys, they signed a bunch of guys, but mainly 2 guys that have the opportunity to be, bounce back contenders, to get back to, or at least show potential. So they signed Jorge Lopez, who was one of the best relievers in baseball 2 years ago. Last year was terrible. They signed, that Fujinami guy who throws 103 miles an hour but can't throw strikes. And when he does, they're right down the pipe. So these are guys that if you figure them out, these guys are legitimate arms in the back of the bullpen or their batting practice. So it's really tough year to year with these guys, especially Lopez, who has great stuff but got hit around last season. If he does find his way, you have a legitimate setup man to go along with the best closer in baseball. It's really impossible to predict. Like with the Dodgers, like how do you predict Ryan Brazier is going to go over there and have a 1.5 ERA when he goes there? It's impossible to predict.
Another guy for the Yankees that I like is Caleb Ferguson.
Yeah, it's nice sign. Nice trade.
That's a nice lefty move. But I'll go back to Snell here. It's the reason they have to get Snell. I said this on the Playbook last week. New episode of the Playbook.
Who has to get Snell?
The Yankees have to get Snell, or let me rephrase. They don't have to get Snell. But the reason getting Snell is so beneficial to the Yankees is because Cortez goes to the pen or Schmidt goes to the pen, but it'll probably be Cortez. And then that opens up just a huge opportunity. And what the ceiling is for your bullpen is massive, because then I believe you have the best middle reliever in the league if Cortez is in the pen.
Something the Yankees need to do. Let's just, I don't think they need to make that big of a move, and I don't think they're going to for Snell or Montgomery. But one thing the Yankees do need to do, and I'm confident they will do this, is you need 8 to 9 starters that you feel good about going into a year, right? Because you know the injuries you have in your starting rotation. You need to be at least 8 guys deep. This team is not. They might not even be 6 guys deep. I mean, who's the last guy? Who's your 6th man? Is it Luke Weaver, Ian Hamilton?
I believe Boone said it was Weaver.
So, like, you do not feel good about these guys coming into a game saying, all right, they're giving you a spot start, or they're taking the 5 spot in your rotation because, God forbid Cortez goes down 2 weeks. They need to add guys that you feel good about at 6 and 7 there that could possibly make starts for you. You have to. It's impossible to go through a season without 8 or 9 guys.
You need, and I'll use them as an example. Yankees fans know him. We saw it with the Rangers this past year. Andrew Heaney. You need an Andrew Heaney on your team who objectively stinks as a starting pitcher. Not good. But he's a 6th, 7th, 8th guy that's going to give you 5 innings, 6 innings when he goes out there. And, maybe he performs well. Maybe better chance he doesn't. But you just know you have a guy that's there. And you don't have to risk stunting the development of a 23-year-old, 24-year-old down to the minors, whether they're a top prospect or not a top prospect. They're just not ready. You don't have to risk stunting the development of one of those guys by throwing them in front of a
great point.
45,000 seat crowd at Yankee Stadium on a night game on a weekend against the division rival because Rodon's got a calf strain and Nestor has to load manage because his pitch count's getting too high, and Clark Schmidt, who's in his first year starting, is dealing with fatigue and can't go. So you're going to throw a 23-year-old out there who's just not ready instead of a veteran who's able to give you 5 or 6. That is a guy they need to find and get. But
might need two of those guys.
It could also come in. And listen, the guys they have in the rotation, Rodon, after Cole, how can you count on Rodon, Schmidt, Nestor, or Stroman to eat any innings for you?
You can't.
You can't.
There's risk.
I'd actually wager on the side of they're not going to give you more than 5 innings in majority of their starts combined.
Maybe not Rodon.
If you combine the 4 of them, you're not going to get better than 5 innings out of 50% of those starts.
Yeah, you need depth. I mean, it's a need that all major league teams need to have at your what you're starting pitching, and the Yankees don't have that right now. So one flaw they have, and you talk about guys you can't rely on, whether it's going deep into games or staying healthy. I mean, the biggest thing with Rodon when they signed that contract was, well, he wasn't a very good pitcher, and then he was hurt, and then when he became a really good pitcher, he still had some, issues staying healthy. And they knew the risk when they gave him 6 years, but he had 2 seasons where he was a top 5 pitcher in baseball. I mean, for those 2 seasons combined, he was a top 5 pitcher in baseball. So you make that signing, you want to go win a World Series, you want to compete. That's a signing, you have to take the risk that's involved, but there is definitely some concerns, and Cortez has not been healthy. So, I mean, you look at the top, and it's like, well, they're top heavy, and if they're healthy, they're good. But if does not win you ball games, doesn't.
Who else, before we sign off here, who else is out there as a starting pitcher?
Just go get names. Go get guys. Go get arms.
You know what? Maybe because we all talk about Montgomery and Snell. But there's got to be some guys here that aren't Montgomery or Snell
that are waiting in the wings.
Let's see, all types, UFA.
I love Sport Track. I know that's what you're on right now.
Yeah, I am, but it's giving me all of the pitchers that were available.
Yeah,
I didn't know where the available tab was. All right. Hyun-Jin Ryu just went to Japan.
Yeah,
Julio Urias is a domestic abuser. Mike Clevenger. What happened to Mike Clevenger?
That would be a guy I would bring in.
I thought he had something going on though.
He does, but
didn't he have some criminal investigation going on?
Oh, did he? That I don't know.
I have no idea. All right, so Clevenger, there's a perfect guy you could bring in. Michael Lorenzen, you could. I
would bring Lorenzen in.
I wouldn't bring in Rich Hill. I wouldn't bring in Zach Greinke. Domingo Germán, you could bring him back. Nobody signed him. I don't particularly like Germán. I think the organization's sour on him too. But these are the arms that Germán threw a perfect game.
He did.
You know who else I would sign, man? You know who I'd sign right now too that no one's doing? And I don't know what his physicals look like and his medicals. Brandon Woodruff. I would sign this guy to a 3-year deal.
They signed him.
Who?
The Brewers re-signed him.
They did? What was the contract?
I think it was two with an option.
Oh, wow.
So I was 2 with an option of a third. Yeah, I kept seeing that.
I would have tried to scoop him up immediately in the offseason.
Well, you're not
he's
getting
a good pitcher.
You're not getting him in 24, but it's it's a signing for 25. Pay him to rehab, and then hopefully
you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about going out to get a
3-starter next season.
Another guy next season. Dallas Keuchel's a free agent. Oh my god.
I mean, you named him. I mean, I would go get Clevenger as long as he's checked out, legally. Lorenzen's a guy I would definitely look at. Odorizzi, Eric Lauer. I think Davies might have just signed. So these are guys that I would definitely look at if I was the Yankees or the Mets. Definitely, with the Senga injury, I would look at a couple of these guys if you're in need of depth. The Mets definitely have more depth than the Yankees do, from 6 to 8 or 9. But for the Yankees, those are definitely guys I would look at to sign. 100%.
Yeah. Trying to find
Lorenzen would be like my number one guy too.
Lorenzen's the guy there.
Because then, let's say you're good, right? Let's say, all right, you really don't have any injuries. He could pitch out of the pen. He's pitched out of the pen before. So you have him out of the pen, or then he makes some spot starts. So he can start in the pen, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Clevenger got accused of a domestic violence situation, but the MLB cleared him.
Okay.
And basically said that the office closed the investigation because the evidence and records didn't prove anything about Clevenger, and he cooperated with all evidence they needed.
So now we go get him.
So Clevenger's a guy.
Lorenzen's a guy. Signed Davies. Sorry.
Now you're at a point with these guys where you might even be able to get a guy like Lorenzen to come and say, "Hey, come for spring training. We'll give you the spring training contract with the major league option. And if you make the roster, if you're in shape, if you look good, we'll give you $9-10 million for the year to come pitch here." You could do that with these guys because they've been waiting so long, and they're not
the Yankees.
The high price.
That's like a $20 million contract then.
And what they're doing and what their agents would do if they were smart, and I'm sure they are doing this, is let's wait for that first, fourth, or fifth guy to drop.
Yeah.
This spring training, because the unfortunate reality is someone's blowing their arm out in the next 5 weeks. That matters to a team.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna tear a hamstring. Someone's gonna get hit with a comeback and be out for 2-3 months. So that's where
violent and specific there.
Just
Jesus.
Just thinking of some things that could possibly happen, man.
Does that happen in spring training a lot? Does somebody get real?
All right, I'll give you one. I'll give you AJ Burnett. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him, but did that happen?
You remember what happened to AJ Burnett his first season with the Pirates?
No.
After the Yankees? AJ Burnett was back when pitchers had to hit. In spring training, AJ Burnett was bunting. And someone threw like 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It hit Burnett's bat and shot right up in his face and broke his eye, his orbital around his eye. And he missed like 5 months.
This is crazy. All right, so you got the AJ Burnett example from 20 years ago.
Stuff happens in spring training. It's all I'm trying to say.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And
that's what Boris is waiting for.
Lorenzen and Boris are waiting, because you can look at the list of free agents. You have to assume they're all Boris clients here. And all 50 guys that are on this list are Boris clients. And he's just waiting. They're all waiting for the injury.
I mean, you had one with the Mets already with Senga. Now, they're not budging. They're not in that kind of timeline where they're panicking and going to a Snell or a Montgomery. But yeah, I mean, one more, it's another top guy is gonna go down, and there will be Boris and Snell waiting to collect.
Here's my closing thought today. My closing remark. Did you see Soto's first at bat?
Yeah, he rolled up on his ankle or something, right?
I got the worst Aaron Rodgers flashback ever.
Yeah, I
watched that happen, man. And I was just like, no way this is happening again.
Kevin, these franchises aren't aligned. Okay, don't worry.
No, they're not.
The aligned.
This is supposed to be my safe place.
Right. This is your safe place. I don't think you have to worry about that. It's Mets Jets. I have to worry about that with the Rodgers
you have to.
Saga crap. All right, you're good. I promise.
All right. Good to know. Thanks for talking me off the ledge there.
Yeah, my closing thought is that it's no surprise that no team is budging for Snell, and I don't know if many teams are going to give him a long-term contract. If they give him a long-term contract, it's going to be a bad franchises that makes bad moves.
All right, so final prediction quick. Montgomery, Red Sox, we're thinking.
Yes, that's what I think.
Snell, I'm thinking Angels.
All right, I'll concur. Yeah, I guess Angels. I don't know. I don't know. Not signed. Not signed. He's not signed.
I have a now this one that no one thought about ever is Matt Chapman. Does he sign before opening day?
Chapman, I think, is a Blue Jay on like a 1 year kind of $25 million contract.
Okay, they'll want him back too. They'll want him back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure IKF is slated to start at third, so it's not like they got this major upgrade there.
Want him back. They definitely want him back then. All right, great show today. Great recap. Coming to you in a few weeks is the Burrows. I don't know when we will be back for a live, maybe next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe 3 days from now, maybe
who knows?
2 weeks from now. Who knows? This was a little bit of a sporadic choice by us a day or two ago. You can follow us on BTO Media, Instagram, BTO Media, TikTok, BTO Media on X, even though we don't really use it. And you can follow us there, see all of our content, all the shorts, all the highlights from the episodes, and more content. Follow Hardline Sports Talk. Make sure to follow the Playbook and just check out everything going on with it all. We will see you when we see you.